it's a negative reaction. So you've really got to think about those pebbles in the shoe, so to speak, just ruin an otherwise beautiful experience.
Yeah. Episode 217 of the Dan Bradbury podcast from Tampa, Florida at Personify Studios. I'm stoked to be here because I got to confess, I called the airline. I had them specifically screw you up, so you had to stay an extra day and shoot some extra episodes. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully you're going to get out tonight.
Kill me now.
Yeah, because if you don't get out tonight, you are going to be one grumpy ass. I'm not even going to want you in the studio tomorrow. No.
You won't. Well, you won't make yourself smell that bad.
You're already looking bad. So what you're saying is you'll look as bad as you smell.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. So what I love about this not only is that we are in my studio, but also we're in the new format where we're talking and promising that the listeners or the watchers are going to get at least one specific strategy that they can do to implement in their business that will improve one of the 6 critical components of business, whether that be sales, marketing, logistics and operations and systems, legal, people and culture, or business finance.
There you go.
How'd I did?
You nailed it. I mean, you messed it up and did it in a weird order and all sorts.
Yeah. But I got them all.
You got a solid B.
Solid B. I'll take that. I'll take a B. I've always been a B average guy. Anyway, so what is the topic we're talking about today?
This week it's operations and systems.
That's probably your second favorite of the 6 topics because it's the other one other than business finance, which requires no emotion or heart whatsoever. So you can be the cold-hearted, uncalculated, personal bastard that you are.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And talking about cold and heartless, let's talk about AI. So, it's not about AI, but rather, it's meta on AI. So Sam Altman, one of the creators of ChatGPT, has come out pushing for regulation.
This boggles my mind.
On AI.
Yeah. Like,
how so?
Well, how did he not see it coming, right? It's like, before you have to ask somebody to regulate your technology, you could self-regulate anytime you wanted to, right? He could have built in systems, but he tried to go open source and let's just share the information with everybody. And now he's like, oh, well, geez, maybe this open source technology wasn't the best idea to do with the technology that could surpass human knowledge.
Well, I've got 2 theories on this.
Yeah.
One which is mainstream and one which is a bit conspiracy theories.
Let me hear it.
Which one would you like first?
Let's start with the conspiracy theory.
Well, look, so the conspiracy theory would be to say, yeah, of course he's pushing for regulation now because they've got a competitive advantage.
By the way, I buy into that one, 100%. Yes.
Right, so he's pushing for regulation to shut out all the other upstarts so that they can, they're dominant, they're the head dog.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't think that's too bad of a conspiracy theory. It's not like you were saying they needed to wear aluminum foil on their head to prevent the EMF frequencies.
I'm just going to nip this in the bud right now.
What's the normal theory, by the way?
The normal theory is that all my problems started out as a good idea, right? So so they just start, and we don't think of the second order consequences. We just kind of go, oh yeah, this is great, and then we do it, and that's kind of like a very entrepreneurial.
Yeah, but seriously, with AI coming up with something like this, like hasn't the man ever watched the Terminator series? We all have known about this, and all of a sudden he's like, yeah.
Well, it's also ego. It's, oh yeah, well it won't be like that for us because we're moral. We're brilliant. We're clever. We'll figure all this out. Yeah, no problem. That's way downstream.
Yeah, interesting. So by the way, so we could literally go back to one of the strategies we talked about last episode, which is about doing pre-mortems.
That was 2 episodes.
Oh, 2 episodes ago. You're right. Yeah.
I'm glad you're paying attention. I mean, that was 2 weeks ago, Topher. A real long time.
But in our world, it was yesterday, so it kind of makes me think it was last one. But what a great strategy to apply that. Had he gone through and done a pre-mortem, I'll let you talk about that in a second, this wouldn't have been an issue. He would have known way longer ago.
Right. Well, most business owners aren't aware of it, don't think about it, don't do it, and that's why it blows up in their face. That's why you manage to scale and it just
let's unpack what a pre-mortem is, and then I want to ask you a question about why they don't.
Right. I mean, a pre-mortem in a nutshell is, most people have heard of a post-mortem. So something dies, what killed the patient, right? Figure out what killed them. A pre-mortem is figuring that out in advance. In other words, there's roughly 3 parts. It's whatever your desired outcome for the project is, you fast forward beyond that end date. So let's say it was your revenue and profit target for the year. You fast forward beyond that end date and imagine that you failed miserably. And then hypothetically, if you imagine that you feel miserable, you ask yourself, okay, what killed the patient? What were the most likely? So you make a list of the most likely causes that this project or this desired outcome failed. Right? That's number one. Number two is you rank them in order of either most likely to occur or the most detrimental if they do occur. My preference is most likely to occur, right? And then number three is for each of the top causes of death, so to speak, you come up with a strategy to mitigate the risk, to either reduce the chance of it occurring or reduce the damage if it does.
Yeah. It's brilliant, and it's something that I think everybody should do. And listen, I'll throw myself on the sword. I don't do that for every project that I create, right? Why don't you think entrepreneurs do that? Like, what is it because we're just eternally optimistic, so we don't want to look at that? Or is it something like so in the opposite that we're so scared of it that we don't even go there?
I'll go with good old-fashioned stupidity and hubris. I think
the makings of every entrepreneur out there at some level.
I mean, look, if people told us how hard it was going to be an entrepreneur, like, you wouldn't have started.
And we believed them.
Right. Yeah. So it's helpful to have a certain degree of naive optimism to get going. But that's one of the transitions, I think, Topher, between a startup entrepreneur and an established business owner. Right? Like, if you're a startup, you've got to be blindly optimistic and be willing to run headfirst into all kinds of stupid, crazy shit to get through it. But once you get established, there's more consequences. You've got more to lose, and you've got to remember that it's called your net profits, the net of your wins and your losses, right? So you do have to think about things further upstream. If your business is a bigger beast, I'm mixing 1,000 different metaphors here, but it's like a tanker. Like, it's no longer quite as nimble, so you've got to think further afield if you need to turn a corner. Yeah.
By the way, you saying that just reminded me of something that happened in your life that when I bring it up, you're going to want to go on a rant and it'll put you in an even worse mood because you've missed the flight. Remember what happened? What was this? Like this, the perfect example of this would be Warwick conferences where we do your CEO Mastermind. They changed their system for parking or something, 6 months ago?
This is the most retarded thing I've ever heard. This is the epitome. It's good in people and systems because it's the epitome of bureaucracy. So Warwick Conferences is
Ops and Systems.
Ops and Systems, It's a conference venue that I've used for, I don't know, 5-6 years, something like that.
Great venue, by
Excellent.
the way.
I moved there because they were significantly superior than my previous option. I absolutely knocked it out the park. But they're owned by Warwick University, right? And then gradually over time, it's just got more bureaucratic. It's managed by a board, and as a mentor of mine would say, it's not by a board, by a committee, really. So a committee is the unfit elected by the unwilling to do the unnecessary. And so there's all kinds of weird and quirky rules, and it's just kind of gradual creep, and the experience has gotten less good.
I've noticed it.
Right? Yeah. Well, all of a sudden they say, it's a conference venue, so there's hundreds of people turning up there, right, with cars. But there's enough parking generally. And then all of a sudden they decided to put an automated number plate recognition system in. So the parking is, it's still free, but you get fined if you don't book it online. If you don't register it online. So it's not even, and by the way, you have to do it every time. You're like, so if you go there, I don't know, if you go there several times a month.
Well, you're there at least once a week, right? If not 2, sometimes 3 times a week.
Right. So you've got to go to the website, and of course, it's just think like a government website, right? It's
hard to find,
clunky, it's messy, slow. It doesn't work every time, and of course, but if you don't register, you're going to get a fine. But even worse, Topher, it's not them. They've outsourced it. They've outsourced it to a third party.
It'd be interesting. I'd like to.
No, I'm not done. So
you want to go?
No, but here's why: it's just shocking customer service, terrible. I mean, think about it this way. So, like, you get hundreds of people come to events, and then it's like they're all told that they need to register, but the venue doesn't tell them because it's not them. There's signs up. But of course, then if a client of mine doesn't realize, I need to check that they've done it, and if not, they go, how do I do it? Now we've got the burden of telling them how to do it, or if it doesn't work and we go to reception and say it's not working, they go, it's a third party. Call the helpline.
And by the way, if all that stuff happens, who is your customer going to be pissed at?
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
If you get a fine in the post, right? I mean, everyone's had it with things like congestion charges and stuff like that. But if you can now get a fine,
Yep.
A client's been invited to come to an event, and then they end up with this fine, that they're not going to think about the third-party car park company.
Literally, they could have had, because they're coming to your CEO mastermind, right? So they're going to be learning strategies that could help them. And I'm not exaggerating if I say double, triple, quadruple their sales, right? The stuff that you cover in your masterminds are absolutely amazing strategies for a group of fast-growing business owners. They could go to that, and they could get techniques that could quadruple their sales, get that fine, and what's their one memory of that whole thing?
You're pissed off.
Yeah.
It's just fuming. It's the pebble in the shoe, and that's the question.
Yeah.
It's where's the pebble in your shoe, or your customer's shoes? Like, what are these things where it's the emotional reaction?
Listen up. This is the strategy coming.
It's a negative reaction, so you've really got to think about those pebbles in the shoe, so to speak, just ruin an otherwise beautiful experience.
Yeah.
And so there's two parts. Number one is think about the irritants, like do some mystery shopping, figure out what those irritants are and eliminate them. Yeah. But a second strategy is where are you guilty of solving the wrong problem? Mm-hmm. Solving a problem that didn't exist. Yeah. So Warwick Conferences have put this damn parking system in.
And a system that's working perfectly well.
Correct, even though it's free. Yeah. But because they would say, oh, well, it's to stop people parking there that aren't using the conference facilities. Yeah. But I'm like, they don't.
Here's my conspiracy theory on this, by the way. Look at who invented that stupid system, and I'm going to guess that it's like a donor to the university, and now they want to show how grateful that person is for giving them $1 million for a new wing, and they're implementing this system.
Maybe. I suspect it's more probably it's just a dog's body overreaction. One person, one time. Yeah, but my
theory sounds way better.
Yeah, I know, but there's a lot of stupid people out there, Topher, and there's a lot of job worths.
At least you just said out there, not in here.
Well, that may also be true. At least one.
At least half.
There's jobs worths, right? That's one person, one time, part where they shouldn't. It's like, we got to put in this whole new system. Yeah. It just doesn't make any damn sense.
Yeah, overreacting to one problem that happened.
Right. Well, and here's where it shows up for entrepreneurs: is you get a customer complaint, right? And you. Don't get me wrong. I'm in favor of dealing with complaints, but if you get a batshit crazy customer that makes, whether it by unfortunate coincidence or they're just plain old crazy and they think that you're ridiculous and your price should be a tenth of what it is and it's absolutely ludicrous. But then some people take it really personally and overreact. Oh my God, it's terrible. Yeah. Or, back in the day, email marketing, when that customer replies going, unsubscribe me from the spam. This is spam, and then you freak out. And, right.
Yeah. By the way, and that speaks to a management issue as well. So here's another specific strategy the business owners going to be doing is making sure that they're training their management staff to be able to sift between real problems and drama problems that some employees just love to make worse than they really are. And because that'll never get to somebody like you. As the business owner, those problems rarely get up to your level. The managers just hear them, and then they start implementing these changes, and then you don't hear about it until it's already too late. But training the management staff to understand the difference between, I guess you would call it a real and a fake problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we have a great book of the week, which could help them to do that as well.
I was just thinking that. Great book. It's called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits by Vern Harnish. Now, it's interesting. If you go back in the podcast feed, Vern was interviewed on this podcast a long, long time ago.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And he also has written another book called Scaling Up. Interestingly, he doesn't mention Mastering the Rockefeller Habits because he thinks Scaling Up is a better book. I disagree. Mastering the Rockefeller Habits.
We're always in love with our most recent book, though. That's just,
right. Of course. Yeah. But there's 12 strategies, and he says it's about how to drive company culture, and I think it has that impact. But they're really systems.
Yeah, interesting.
Right? It's 12 strategies and systems. There's a one-page strategic planning there. There's all kinds of things of systems you put in your business based upon the practices of Rockefeller, right?
Yeah.
So the Inflation Adjusted Richest businessman of modern times.
Yeah.
So, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits.
Very cool. Pop quiz for a Rockefeller history lesson here. Who is Rockefeller's partner? That is very much an important part of the Florida history and culture. You know this.
I do know, but I can't remember his name. But the book on it is Last Train to Paradise.
Last Train to Paradise. Well, yeah, and that's about him. It's Henry Flagler. Yeah, was his partner and built all of the railroads and some of the best hotels in Florida. Yeah. Anyway, has nothing to do with this podcast, but I just thought, we'd give a little teaching moment for the people listening. What's the quote of the week, my friend?
It's from my man, from my boy.
Oh, Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
I already know. As soon as you light up like that, yep, I already know. It's like a teenage girl talking about Taylor Swift.
It's true. It's kind of true as well. That makes that funny. So, and Warren said, it's about systems. You don't have to do too many things right in life as long as you don't do too many things wrong.
Brilliant. Yep.
Systems, consistency. That's where it's at.
To me, that sounds more like not Warren Buffett, but his partner. What's his name?
Charlie Munger.
That sounds more like a Charlie Munger quote. I'm wondering if Charlie said that over coffee and Warren got credit for it.
Right.
Because that does sound more Charlie Munger, right?
Right. I mean, it's an inversion. Right? It's kind of rhymes with the Charlie Munger. I just want to know where I'm going to die, so I never go there. Right? It's
Exactly,
I just don't screw up. Avoid the pitfalls.
All right, my friend. Let's wrap it up.
All right. As always, if you want a better business, you need to be a better business owner.
Indeed.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. 3 things you need to do now. Number 1, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you do not miss an episode. Also, get on over to Amazon to get a copy of my latest book, Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity, 9.5 Steps to Improving Your Profits and Cash Flow. Also, join our Facebook group, the Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity community, to connect with other business owners.